It says starting the event, but I don't hear myself. Okay, so can you hear me now?
No, it still says you're logging in.
I'm
It
in.
says the creator has not logged in yet.
So I'm going to turn this.
Right?
I think so. I mean, I'm at the live room thing. Okay, so want me to try it again?
Supplement Smart Live.
I'm turning on the microphone. Can you see me now?
Okay. No, because I can't go in until you're in. So let me go to that one. Okay.
This is what happened to me before. This is so weird.
I think you just clicked on the wrong webinar, that's all. It's going to be okay. We're on the right webinar now.
So somebody named Monica can see me.
Great. Okay, so let's say hi.
So, but I haven't even started it yet.
Really?
Oh, yes, I have started it.
Okay, so people are watching. All right, let's hang up. Text me if you need anything, and I'll be here. And
so you can see. Can you see the slides? Yay! Okay, cool. Woohoo! Okay, so let's get started then. Welcome to Supplement Smart, the how to choose the right supplements for your health. I'm so excited to be here. Let's see if I can move my slides. Oh, God. So this course is for you if you want to understand your supplements and how to choose the right ones for you. And what you want to, so people take supplements all the time, and you want to make sure that you're taking supplements that are actually going to help you because you're taking them for the purpose of helping your health. And so I want to educate you because so many of my patients come in every day and tell me, these are my supplements, and they bought them at Costco or Trader Joe's or someplace like that. And it's not that those are necessarily bad, but you want to know exactly what's in your supplements, and you want to know which ingredients are good for you and which ones are not. So Is the microphone on now? Can you hear? Okay. So now back to my screen. Can you still see the slides? So our environment is not as healthy as it once was. There's not as many nutrients in our food. There was a study done a few years ago that how much nutrients is in our soil and how many minerals. And even in organic soil, there's about half the amount of nutrients that are in the soil as opposed to when they were like 40 years ago. So our food isn't as healthy as it was, and our nutrients aren't in our soil anymore. And then, you know, when you buy groceries, a lot of times those those vegetables have been sitting there for who knows how many days. You know, you're not picking them fresh from your garden and taking them, so you're not having as many vitamins. And, you know, even at Whole Foods, I don't know if you've noticed, but especially on the fresh, you know, on the fresh vegetable thing where they spray water on them all day long. And what does that do? It removes some of the vitamins. So even though you're buying these organic, healthy vegetables, you're not getting as many vitamins because they're being sprayed and they're in bright lights. And some things like B vitamins and vitamin C are sensitive to light and water. And so there's that. And then the other reason that they might be necessary is that we have very stressful, busy lives. And when our bodies were created and our vitamins and foods were created before many thousands of years ago or billions of years ago, we had, you know, sunlight, and we were living in a small area. You know, possibly we were stressed because we had to hunt for tigers or hunt for animals and, you know, hunt for food all the time. But we now live at a speed that's probably, you know, thousands of times faster than when we were living on farms and in a simpler lifestyle. And then, of course, there's the amount of pollutants in our environment. And so our bodies are exposed to many more toxins, and our ability to detoxify gets overloaded. So we are naturally able to detoxify from chemicals and things like that. But our systems can get overloaded with pollutants because there's so many of them. And if you eat from plastic plates or eat from plastic bottle or drink from plastic bottles or you microwave your food in plastic, then you're getting all these chemicals in your food. And, you know, of course, then if your food's not organic, then you're also getting more chemicals. And, and so the other thing is that we don't spend as much time in nature as we used to. And so we're not getting as much vitamin D because we're not getting outside. And even when we go outside, we're wearing layers and layers of sunscreen. So the vitamin D can't get into our systems. That's just one example. But when we're out in nature, our bodies attune themselves to nature. And so we get more balanced. I wanted to take a quick moment and tell you that I'll be able to handle questions at the end of this. So I'm going to run through all my slides and explain all of the things that I have to explain, and then I'll answer any questions that you have. So thank you for bearing with me if you have questions now. And then I wanted to give you the science as to whether vitamins are really necessary or supplements are really necessary. So there's a lot of controversy, and much of it conflicts. There's studies that show that all kinds of supplements make a difference in how you feel and that they improve health on all kinds of levels. And then there was a study that was widely publicized in the newspaper. It was done on Centrum, people who took Centrum Silver. And I'm going to say in big letters, it's Centrum Silver we're talking about. And there's a limited effect of vitamins when they use Centrum Silver as a vitamin. And I'll show you that in just a minute, what the ingredients of are in Centrum Silver and why they might not have a good effect. And then there's many others, a review of 27 different studies that showed a minimal effect of vitamins on health in the long term. But again, we don't know what quality of vitamins they used to study these people. And then there are many studies that show, like there was a large study done in Canada on like 50,000 people that showed that it improved immune health and that the people had less cancer if they continued to take daily vitamins. And then there was a big review of the literature in Johns Hopkins that in 2006, they reviewed hundreds of studies and showed the benefits of taking nutrients that prevented cancer and that it lowered the incidence of macular degeneration. and osteoporosis and other health conditions. So definitely, I don't know if I'd say they're absolutely necessary, but if you take all of that information and you think, okay, we're not getting as much nutrients in our food and our soil's not as good as it used to be, and we're exposed to way more pollutants, we need some kind of support for our bodies. So I think if you get the right kind of nutrients in your vitamins, then they're good for you. And of course, you don't want to take supplements to treat a serious health condition without the guidance of a professional. You want to make sure that if you have a health condition that, let's say you had high blood pressure or you have cancer, you don't want to just take supplements and hope that they're going to work. You want to make sure that you have the guidance of somebody who knows what they're doing when you're taking supplements for health conditions. And you want to check in with a healthcare provider who knows something about supplements to figure out if they're right for you, because everybody's unique and everybody's body is unique. And so you don't want to just take something randomly. And, you can go to the health food store, or you can go to CVS or Costco or someplace, and there'll be a sign on the bottle that says it's natural. So you think it's good, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's good. Even herbs that are quote unquote natural, because herbs come from plants, right? They may not necessarily be good. So you want to make sure that you research your products to make sure that they are safe for you and that they're the right thing for you. I can give an example of, I think about 15 years ago, there was a big controversy about an herb called ephedra. It was used for weight loss. And in Chinese medicine, ephedra is used when you have a cold, and it helps clear the cold out of your system. And it's an activator, so it clears your sinuses. So it's the other name for it was ma huang. And it wasn't safe the way that it was being prescribed, or the way people were buying it, because they were using it as an energizer in order to help them lose weight. And there were some bad side effects. And so, of course, it was taken off the market, and now it's very controversial to use it. And this is one of the things that I've observed in my years of practice is every few years there's a new popular herb. Like right now, turmeric is the herb that everybody's talking about. And take turmeric. It helps reduce inflammation, it fights cancer, and it helps heart disease, and it helps pain, and it helps your brain. Like there's such a long list of things that turmeric supposedly does. But that, if you don't take a good quality turmeric, or if you're taking it the wrong way, or if it's not, like if you're sensitive to sulfur, turmeric has sulfur in it. And so it might not help you, so you have to know your own body, and you have to know what natural means when you're looking for something, and to make sure that you're getting the right products. If you're on a special treatment regimen, such as having chemotherapy, or you're going to have surgery, you want to make sure that the person who's giving you chemo or surgery, that you talk to them about it. And, a lot of times they don't know anything about supplements, but if you find somebody who knows something about whether it's safe to take that supplement with chemo or surgery, then you want to make sure that you find that information. You want to, before you start taking a supplement, you want to ask, what are the potential benefits of taking this particular supplement? And so of course there's a ton of literature everywhere, and there is a lot of science about supplements, and there's a lot of research that's been done about different kinds of supplements. So, and you may not want to do all the work to figure that out, which is why you want to find a provider that can help you with that. But you want to know what the benefits are, and you want to know if there are any safety risks. And then you also want to know if it's good for you. And if you're taking medications, you want to know if it's good along with whatever medications you're taking. And I'll give you information about that in just a minute to show you where to look for that sort of information. You want to know what the right dose for you is. And, everybody's different. Again, some people are really super sensitive to things. So you may take a smaller dose and feel the effects really strongly. And for someone else, they may need double the dose because they won't feel the effects as strongly. And you want to know, of course, how, when, and for how long you should take it. You want to know, what is this for and what's it going to do? And then do I need to take it forever? Things like that. So a basic multivitamin would be something that you might want to take forever, but you might also want to change the brand of vitamins you take periodically just to give your body a change. And you want to know, can you get this from food? Do you have to take a pill in order to get the nutrients that this supplement is giving you? And if you can get it from food, or if you can get it from acupuncture, let's say, I do acupuncture, of course. And so sometimes, like a woman who's coming in with hormonal difficulties, or she's having trouble sleeping, sometimes a supplement will help her sleep better, but sometimes just acupuncture will help. And then she won't have to take an extra pill, and she can, or take an extra tincture or something like that. She can just get some acupuncture and sleep better. So kind of depends on what your needs are and what you want to know before you start taking them. So there's a lot of categories of supplements, and I'm going to break them down into different categories so you can understand. What different kinds of categories of supplements you want to think about. So first of all, there's just the basic vitamins. And, again, if you're not getting a good diet where your food's fresh and organic and full of nutrients, and you're eating a rainbow every day, then you might need some extra vitamins. If you're vegan, you might need extra B vitamins because you might not be getting them in some of the food that you're eating. And so the first thing is vitamins. That's the first category. And then there's something that I call essentials. And the essentials are things that I think everybody should take. And really there's only one main essential that I think everybody should make sure they get, and that is the omega fatty acids. They're essential to your health, to your well-being, and everything. And so that's why I listed them as essentials. You can get them in your diet, but you just want to make sure that you do. And most food in our environment and in our cultures, has a shorter shelf life if it's full of good fats. So omega fatty acids are good fats, and so they have a shorter shelf life. And so if you get food that's packaged in any way or produced in any way, then you may lose the good fats. And so then you won't get them. And they're essential to your well-being. And then there are antioxidants, and antioxidants are, so in our bodies, there are chemical reactions going on all the time. And when certain chemical reactions occur, it's called free radicals are produced. So every time there's chemicals, they don't like to be alone, or even in our body, the molecules don't like to be alone. So there's electrons, and the electrons always want to be with another electron. So a free radical is a molecule that is running around looking for its buddy to pair with, and it can cause things to break down. And in your body. So have you ever looked at cut an apple and then you let it sit on the counter for a while and it starts to turn brown? That is a free radical reaction. That's when it's called oxidation, and oxygen comes in and molecules start to break down and it starts to have that look, the brown. Or like if you have lettuce in your refrigerator and it starts to get wilted, that's also a free radical reaction. And antioxidants are molecules or nutrients that go into your body, and they look for the places where there are oxidated molecules, and they pair up with them. And so they help protect your body against that sort of oxidation. Or against free radicals. And there are many different antioxidants. I have a whole class that I teach about that. Then there are specific targeted nutritional supplements. And targeted nutritional supplements are things like for specific conditions. Like there are formulas that you can take for allergies, and there are formulas that you can take for blood pressure, and there are formulas that you can take for helping your neurotransmitters, like helping raise your serotonin. So they're natural formulas that have been created by various companies in order to help a specific condition, and they're targeted to a specific part of your body. And then there are supplements that are basically medicine, so you wouldn't want to take them because you wouldn't want to take them in a way that's different than medicine, because that's what they're for. And that could be, I use Chinese herbs a lot. And in Chinese medicine, there's of course specific formulas. Like I have a formula that's for bronchitis, an herbal formula for bronchitis. And it's given for a specific set of symptoms with a specific set of conditions. And each Chinese herbal formula has a specific set of conditions. And I basically treat them like they're medicine. They're not they're not just nutrients. And you usually don't take those for a very long time. If you're taking a formula as a medicine, you don't want to have to take it for the rest of your life. You want to take it for as long as you need it in order to achieve the results that need to be achieved. And then, of course, there are herbs, and herbs are all over the planet. And there's so many thousands of herbs. I love them. But they're basically plants that have been picked out of the ground or something like that. And actually, in Chinese medicine, there are some quote unquote herbs that you would think are really gross, like cicadas, which are an insect that can be dried, and they're used as herbs for skin conditions or allergy conditions, or antlers. So those are considered herbs in Chinese medicine. But when I'm talking about herbs, I'm talking about plants that have medicinal effects, and they're harvested in order to help create a medicinal effect in your body. So that's what I'm talking about. And then glandular supplements are basically an animal's glands, harvested from the animal and then ground up and put into either capsules or tablet form. And one example is Armour Thyroid, which is basically pig thyroid that has been ground up and put into a tablet, and it provides you with thyroid that comes from an animal. And again, in Chinese medicine, glandulars are believed to be really good because if you take something from an animal that's the same as something that you have in your body, the idea is that it would help you support that organ. So if you took a glandular thyroid supplement, then it would help support your thyroid. Or if you took a glandular spleen, it would help support your spleen, things like that. And so that's the philosophy behind that. In relation to the safety of supplements, okay, I've got that. So in order to know whether your supplements are safe, these are some websites that will give you an evaluation of what the ingredients are and what the supplements are. And so then the government has a site, the NIH has a site that is a supplement review checklist. And here's the link for it on this slide. And it has all kinds of facts and lists of supplements. It's really quite an amazing website. And I wanted to let you know that the FDA does not regulate supplements, but it does have some information. So if you go to the FDA website, they do have some information about supplements available. And then one of my favorite websites is the Environmental Working Group. It is a wonderful website. You guys should just go check that out. And they have a huge database of like thousands and thousands of ingredients, and they have a thing called the skin database. So you can actually, if you buy a skincare product and you want to know if the ingredients are safe, you can go to their website and you can look at the ingredient. You could type in the name of that ingredient and it'll show you whether it's safe or not and what the research that's been done on it. There are new chemicals coming out every single day. So they also have a list of all the safe foods to eat, like whether fish is full of mercury or not. They have all kinds of things on their site. You should just check it out. And what was I going to say about that? Right. So that's a great site to use for especially skincare products, but you can use it. They have a sunscreen database. They have a ingredients database for things like the ingredients that are in the vitamin bottles, etc. And then there's one other site called consumerlab.com. And I think it's a membership website. So you have to actually pay a fee to go on that site. But they actually take people's products. So they're like the Consumer Reports of supplements. And they come out with a report every week of supplements that have been recalled. They do evaluations of different kinds of supplements, and they tell you which ones are good and which ones are bad. And so you can actually find out whether they work or not and whether the ingredients are safe. It's a really, really useful information. So I'm going to jump into what to look for when buying supplements. And the things that I look for, so like when you're in the health food store, you're looking to buy a supplement, you look at the bottle and you look at this label. And, you always look, of course, everybody looks for, does it have what I want? So you want to make sure, let's say you're buying calcium, you want to make sure it's calcium. But, there are different kinds of calcium. There's calcium carbonate, there's calcium citrate, there's calcium malate, and different ways that they're manufactured affect how they work in your body. So there's what the main ingredients are. And then underneath that, there's a list of all the other ingredients that are added. And you want to know what those are, because I am thinking, especially if you're a person who takes a fair amount of supplements and you're taking a bunch of different pills every day, and then you're taking not just what you're looking for, the nutrients that you're asking for, but also the added ingredients. And you want to know which ones are good and which ones not. And, when I do research on supplements, I actually call the company and I ask, how did you make this? What is it made from? Where are they manufactured? Are they made from food? And is there any research behind that? And often a supplement company will sell a product and they'll tell me, there's research behind it and here's all the papers and et cetera, et cetera. So, and you may not want to do all that work, but if you do buy a supplement and you want to know whether it's good for you or not, at least buy a high quality one. So I'm going to start with vitamins and sort of review what the different vitamins are, and kind of show you what the labels of these nutrients are so that you can see what they are. So there's a whole class of vitamins that are called food-based, and there's a few companies that make them, which I've listed here. And then there's the class like the One-A-Days and the Centrum Silver and things like that. They come from drugstores or Costco or something like that. And then there's a level of nutrients that are from professionals, that are sold to professionals like me. And now, of course, they're available online pretty much with ease. But they're made in labs where there's a lot of quality assurance and a lot of purity testing and things like that. And so you want to buy high quality, as I said before. So the ingredients are not all equal, and you always want to know what's in it, like I've already said. Here are some of the possible additives that go into supplements. You can have food dyes. You can have toxic chemicals. You can have poor quality basic ingredients. Like if you got calcium carbonate, that's basically like chewing on rocks. And that wouldn't be very helpful to your absorption, and it wouldn't really give you any calcium, which is why I think when the studies show that taking calcium for osteoporosis doesn't really work, well, that's because people are being given Tums and being told that that's calcium, so really you have to look at the quality of the ingredients and how they're interacting with your system. There are all kinds of flow agents that are added, and the reason flow agents and tableting agents are added to supplements is, again, to make it easier on the manufacturer. So flow agents help the powder that they're putting into a pill or capsule flow through the machinery, and I'll show you those in just a minute. And tableting agents are to help hold a supplement in the pill form, because a lot of times these are powders or things like that, and you try to squish them into a pill, then they have to be held together, and so there are things that help them hold together. And then again, the Environmental Working Group or Consumer Lab will answer a lot of questions. So here's some examples. So this is the label of the Centrum Silver, okay? And so the first ingredient is calcium carbonate. I just told you that that's not a very good form of calcium carbonate, of calcium. And then potassium chloride, again, these are the least absorbable forms of most of these vitamins. But then you scroll down a little bit, and the magnesium oxide, that's, again, the least absorbable form of magnesium. But then there's D-alpha tocopherol acetate. That is a very low quality form of vitamin E. So you want vitamin E to be in a different form, D-alpha tocopherol by itself. And then there's cornstarch. Now, if you were sensitive to corn, then these vitamins wouldn't work for you. And there's modified food starch. Quite often, modified food starch is actually gluten. So there's gluten and cornstarch in here. Scroll down a little bit more. There's acacia fiber, which can be irritating to some people. And then most of these, again, are different nutrients. And then you get down a little bit further, more cornstarch, an unusable form of sulfur, low quality form of B12, and then you have F, D, and C, vitamin blue, and aluminum lake. So these are all food dyes. Like, what's the point in having these dyes? And some of these dyes, I have seen children who, if they get any food that has dyes, it causes terrible behavior problems. So you just like don't want to have this kind of vitamin. And you can see why with this level of chemicals added to your vitamins that they might not be good for you. Then you scroll down a little bit further and you look at niacinamide and more sulfur. Again, sulfur is not good for some people. And then here's one of my favorite pet peeves, polyethylene glycol. Polyethylene glycol is not antifreeze necessarily, but the contaminant when it's manufactured is antifreeze. So you're basically getting antifreeze with polyethylene glycol. And there's no reason to have this in your vitamins. And then there's more B vitamins, and then you get back down to some added things. There's sorbic acid, which is a form of sugar. There's sucrose, another form of sugar. Talc, which is unabsorbable and can be very toxic to people. So like basically putting talcum powder in the vitamins. And then titanium dioxide is a mineral that is used again for making a tablet white. So first of all, you add all these dyes and then titanium dioxide to make it white, which is just a little strange. And maltodextrin is again a starch that can have gluten in it. And aluminosilicate, which is basically aluminum. So there's aluminum in here, which can also be very, very toxic. So this is why something like Centrum Silver, when it's used in a study, and then you could also look at the amounts of the nutrients. Like, I don't know, they'll say it's 100% of the US RDA, but the amount of these nutrients is not enough to refill the needs that we have. So I'm going to show you the list of the possibly toxic ingredients. So I made this list, taking it off of that label and showing you polyethylene glycol, sorbitol, titanium dioxide, maltodextrin, dyes, cornstarch, modified food starch, so gluten, corn, talcum, just a lot of crap. So, and I'm just going to take polyethylene glycol because it's one of my pet peeves when it's in supplements. So it's added to some supplements, and it's also used for constipation. So I wouldn't recommend that you use this for constipation because it's supposed to absorb the water from your bloodstream, from your plasma, and bring it into your bowels. So to help them soften your stools, but there's so many other ways to soften your stools. So don't take this because the contaminants are really toxic. Ethylene glycol is antifreeze, and PEG is polyethylene glycol, which can be very toxic, and dioxane, which can be toxic. And magnesium stearate is an additive that is added to many supplements, including some of the professional level supplements that I carry. And I've had a really hard time deciding whether I think this is a good thing. This is what's called a flow agent. So magnesium stearate is added to many things, again, to make them flow through the machinery. So it's not there for any other reason. But stearic acid is present in beef and chocolate. So stearic acid is naturally in a lot of foods that we eat. So it may not be toxic. And some supplement companies actually claim that it may improve absorption. I don't know. So overall, I try to avoid magnesium stearate, but it's probably not terribly harmful. So if you have a supplement and the only added ingredient is magnesium stearate and you can't get anything else, then you're probably okay taking it. And one of the things, like I have some patients that come in with their bag of 20 different supplements, and they all have magnesium stearate and or titanium dioxide or some other added something or other. So you're taking that many pills a day and you're adding extra chemicals into your body. I just discourage you from doing that because, again, the purpose for taking this stuff is to be healthy. So you don't want to add extra stuff. So here is an example of the vitamin actually that I like best. It's a a professional level vitamin. So look at the difference. So here's how much vitamin A, naturally mixed carotenoids, vitamin C, all vitamin C actually that's not food-based is made from ascorbic acid. And actually a few years ago, I did research on that, and all of the ascorbic acid in the whole entire country is made in one place. So everybody gets their ascorbic acid from the same place. And then they add things to it to make it whatever they make it. And then vitamin D, is same, but notice the difference. So the D-alpha tocopherol, that is the right kind of vitamin E. And then there's all the different B vitamins, and there's a whole long explanation about this, but most professional level supplements have the B vitamins in a form that's called already activated. So like, I'll show you a different kind of the natural vitamins and how the B vitamins are different. Not that it's bad or good, but some people cannot do something that's called methylation in their bodies. It's about 40% of the population cannot methylate. And so folic acid and B12, in order for them to be used for your body's chemical detoxification processes, they have to be methylated. So if you notice here, the folate and the B12 are methylcobalamin and L5-methylfolate. Which makes them activated already, and that makes them ready to step into the detoxification pathways in your body. And most professional level vitamins will have these forms of activated vitamins. And if you have any of those methylation problems or any processing issues in your body, then you want to use these kind of vitamins because they'll be more activated. So there's selenium, which is in its activated form, copper in its activated form, chromium as a niacinamide, which is more active. And there's a little bit of enzyme betaine hydrochloride, helps your body just break it down in case it can't break it down easily. So you can see all the ingredients here are in a highly absorbable form. What you'll notice, this is a 1-a-day multi. It does not have calcium or magnesium. And that is because calcium and magnesium are both huge molecules. And if you want to take a 1-a-day pill, you won't get any calcium or magnesium, or you won't get much calcium or magnesium because it's just such a big molecule that you'd end up having to take 6 pills a day. So that's why it's like that. And so if you were going to take calcium and magnesium, you'd have to get it separately. So here's an organic food-based vitamin, and you can see the difference. So again, these are grown food. So this one is actually food-based, but it's not grown on yeast. I think it's grown on fermented soy or something like that. And so it has a decent amount of vitamin A. Most of it is beta carotene. It has vitamin C, vitamin D, niacinamide, and then you look at the folic acid, the folate and the B12, they are not activated. So again, a person who has some of these genetic issues, you have to be careful which vitamins you take because you may need the methylated vitamins or you may not need the methylated vitamins, and you should know that. And so I'm going to go back to that. And so there's another company that so there's two ways that they make organic food-based vitamins. So there's this one, which is the way you see it. It has, it's grown on soy, I think. And then the other kind, and I didn't bring a photo of this, but like Garden of Life is one company that makes something called Raw Code, and they are grown on Saccharomyces cerevisiae, which is a form of yeast. So a lot of the food-based vitamins are grown on a culture that's yeast. And if you have issues with yeast, then you can't take those vitamins because they will activate your yeast. Even though there are not actually yeast, they could activate your yeast. So I just want to take a minute and tell you about how to learn more. I want to offer you an opportunity if you want to learn more about supplements and about how to take them and which supplements you might want to take. I'm offering a course. It's a 3-part series, and I call it my top 20 supplements for healthy living. And so it's sort of like an extension of the Supplement Smart. Like, how to really be smart and which supplements to use for what, like what supplements do what, because there's just this massive numbers of supplements. So I picked out my very top favorite 20 supplements and broke it up into a 3-part series. And I'm going to offer that as a course. And there's 3 parts. So the first part is what the basics are, like what should everyone have. So I've already talked a little bit about omegas and a multivitamin and vitamin D and things like that. So you want to know what the basics are and how would you choose the right one for you. And so I've given you a little bit of education about that already. And then how much of everything do you need? What's the minimum? What can you get from your diet? So that whole episode will be about what are the basics? What do you need and how and which brands are good and how to choose. And the second part is how to use supplements proactively. And it's mostly centered on preventive medicine and really addressing specific conditions. So like what antioxidants to take, which ones are best. And it depends on what parts of your body. And so I'm going to educate you about which antioxidants work for which organs, because there are some good ones and there are some that, so let's say you had lung problems and you took one that was good for your liver. Would that help you anyway? And, should you just focus on the part of your body that you want help with? For example, CoQ10 is a really good supplement for circulation and your blood vessels and your heart. But if you don't have any issues with that, you might not want to take CoQ10. You might want to take a different antioxidant. And then rather than taking, 50 different supplements that are good for every single organ, you maybe want to target. And that's what this part 2 will be about. It's how to use the supplements proactively and how to minimize what you take, but to take the right ones. And I will give you the names of the companies that I like and what products I think are really good. And then my part 3 is about herbs and which herbs are safe to take, what herbs are good for you. And there's different categories of herbs, of course. And I'll teach you, some basic herbs and which herbs are safe to take all the time forever, and other herbs that are more medicine. And it'll be really, really lots of fun. And how to think outside the box, like how to choose herbs that are going to help you with particular conditions. So it's my top 20 supplements for healthy living course, and I'm offering it today at a specially reduced price. It's going to be only $97, and my normal price is $297. So it's going to special price, and I'm going to be running it live. And so we'll be doing that in June, but there'll be recordings available, and then you'll get a handout with it. It's like a document that you'll be able to use to follow through, so you can have you'll get a copy of the slides. And for the first 10 people who sign up, I'm going to offer a free 15-minute supplement consult. After you've taken the course, I'll give you a free 15-minute call, and you'll be able to get my advice on which ones might be best for you. So sign up for this. It's going to be a great, fun course to take. So I'm going to give you a little bit more education about how I research supplements and what I do when I'm looking. So thank God for Dr. Google, right? So years ago, when I first started my business, I started my business in 1993. I had to go to the library to research things and to figure out what was good. And, of course, there were supplement companies that were selling things, and they would try to tell me what was good, but I had to do more research. So I've dedicated a lot of years to learning about this. And by the way, the offer is in the right sidebar of the webinar, so you can just click on that at any time and sign up for the top 20 supplements. So I search for organic herbs, and I'll just give you this right off the top. If you're going to buy herbs, they are being used as medicine. They're either being used as food or as medicine, right? And so you want the purest, the best, just like the purest and the best food that you put into your belly. You want the purest and the best of herbs. And so here's a couple of companies. There's many, many more companies that sell organic herbs. If you're going to look for herbs, look for organic herbs. And you also want to look for whole herbs. So again, a plant is medicinal because of the essence of the plant, the energy of the plant, not just because it has certain chemicals in it. For example, here's one of the things that's done a lot. There's these, what are they called? They're called extracts or standardized extracts. So they've made an herb into a medicine by standardizing it. So let's say ginseng is one example. There are certain chemicals in ginseng that have been known to be medicinal. And they are extracted out of the ginseng, and they're called ginsenosides because they come from ginseng, right? So you can buy an herb in a health food store and it says, 50% extracted or isolated, 50% ginsenosides, but that's not the herb anymore. That is a medicine that's been extracted from the plant. That's almost like, willow bark is the source of aspirin. Traditionally, willow bark is what has the salicylates in it. And so aspirin is basically taking the chemical component out of willow bark and turning it into a pill. That's a medicine. And so because I'm sort of holistically oriented, you can do whatever feels right to you. But my thought is that if you're going to take herbs, you want to take them as whole as possible and not in their what did I call it? Concentrated essence. You want to search for supplements that have no added ingredients, and they use vegetarian capsules because you don't know where gelatin capsules come from. Although some gelatin capsules, they tell you where they come from. And you want to talk with companies if you really get into it. So this is all the stuff that I do. I search for supplements that have no added ingredients. I use organic herbs. I talk with companies to learn where their products are manufactured and how, and I learn the science behind the supplements that I prescribe. And I always take into account your own individual experiences because I have literally thousands of patients, and one person will be able to take an herb and another person will have a negative reaction to it. And you just never know. And so you want, no matter what your doctor says, you want to honor your individual experience, And one of the things I talk about, I'm going to go back to this. One of the things I talk about with people is really paying attention to what you're drawn to. Let's say I mentioned turmeric and you go, oh my God, what's turmeric? I'm interested in that. Or I'll just be talking and I'll list off a whole bunch of different things and one name will pop out into your head. Let's say elderberry. Elderberry will pop out into your head and you'll go, oh, I wonder what that is. That's your intuition speaking. And that's your intuition telling you that something that you should pay attention. So I call every intuition, every sense that your body has that might want something or not want something, you should listen to. The other things that I think about, and it's really tough because it's so much harder to find things in glass bottles, but I really do look for supplements to be in glass bottles. And I honestly have to be honest with you, the supplements I sell, most of them aren't in glass bottles because it's expensive and it raises the price, but one of my favorite supplement companies is, it sells all their products in glass bottles. And just recently I noticed that they had some things in plastic and I was like, oh gosh, for sure. If you take, you definitely don't want to drink your water out of a plastic bottle. But if you get your supplements in plastic bottles, they say on the labels that they're not BPA or whatever. But now we know that all plastic has some sort of chemical interaction with its environment. So it maybe matters. And it kind of depends on the state of your health and how delicate it is, whether you can take it out of a plastic or a glass bottle. And, I even ask myself this because I tend to ask myself a lot of questions. Is, how much does it matter? And so it depends on how many supplements you take and how delicate your health is and what else is going on. And of course, I've already talked about other additives and at great length, so you know about that already. And then if you're worried about drug interactions, there's some great sites. And we are so lucky to live in these modern times. But WebMD is a great site that has interactions, and it has an interaction checker. There's a website called naturaldatabase.com or .therapeutic research. And they're a medical database that looks at interactions between supplements and drugs and things like that. And then drugs.com has a slideshow. These are all the links to these sites. So you can go there yourself. And again, there's the NIH. They actually have a site for herb and drug interactions. So there's a lot of data out there and you can look into it. Again, I'm going to just reiterate this for a minute. When you take supplements, you want to pay attention to how you feel. And you want to see that you feel better. Like if you're taking vitamins and omega fatty acids and vitamin D, those are sort of the basics. And, now everybody talks about probiotics. And notice I didn't talk about probiotics, and I'll tell you why. you want to pay attention to how you feel and to see, give it a vitamin is going to not have an immediate reaction. It's going to take about a month. But some people, all they have to do is take a good quality multivitamin and they'll feel better, because if you've been eating sort of a standard American diet or even a slightly better than standard American diet, you're not getting the nutrients. And when you suddenly get nutrients, it's so amazing how much better you can feel. So if you don't feel any different when you take a supplement, then stop taking it and then see if you feel different. So sometimes you'll be taking something and you may not notice how gradual the improvement is. And then you stop taking it and you'll say, do I feel any different? Well, maybe I do and maybe I don't. And then if you do feel different after you stop taking it, then you'll go, oh, okay, it was helping me. So that's a way to know. And then of course, if a supplement makes you feel bad, you should discuss it with your practitioner, because sometimes when you're taking a supplement as medicine, it can make you feel worse initially because there's a detox going on or a cleanse or something. And that can make you feel worse, but you don't want to feel so much worse that you can't function. So you should just discuss it to make sure that you're on the right track if you are feeling worse. Of course, to me, the most important thing is that you learn to listen to your body, and you want to make sure that your body is getting the nutrients that it needs and that it's feeling better. And if you've never actually practiced listening to your body, you may, again, not know what feeling really good is like. And so it may take a while for you to learn, what's good, what's not good, how long is it going to take you to feel better, things like that. So here's some suggestions on how to listen to your body. So I've already said some of this. If you feel badly when taking a supplement, it could be either that it's a detox or that it doesn't agree with you. So you should discuss it with your practitioner. If you take something and you don't notice a difference after a month, then you stop it and see if you notice a difference when you stop. If you don't notice it's helping, then just stop it. There's no need to take pills that have no help. And again, listen to your intuition. So if I name something or I talk about something or you see an ad for something, well, hopefully not an ad because those are usually not good quality. But if you see an ad in a magazine for something and it catches your eye, then pay attention. Listen to those little clues, or you see a poster board or somewhere, or you talk to somebody and they mention something. When I first started, I was a surgeon, and I'll tell you this little story. I was a surgeon and I didn't know anything about supplements. We were taught, that you didn't need them, and it was calories in versus calories out, and you needed carbohydrates, proteins, and fats, and you needed it in a certain amount, and that's it. There was nothing about quality or essence or energy of foods until I started studying Chinese medicine, and then I learned so much. But I remember one time one of my roommates had a bottle of a supplement, and I was curious about it. And I was like, what is this? And at the time I always had a stuffy nose because I didn't know that I had food allergies. And so and it looked like an antioxidant. This is an antioxidant. And so I was like, oh, well, let me see what this is like, because I was kind of drawn to it. So I took a pill, or I took one of the capsules, and my nose cleared up for the first time. And I was like, my nose was congested like 24/7, 365 days a year, all the time. I could not breathe through my nose ever. And so when my nose cleared up, it was a miracle of epic proportions. So I was like, what is this supplement? So I researched it and started looking into it. And that was probably like one of my first supplements that I took consistently. It was an antioxidant that had N-acetylcysteine. And N-acetylcysteine is an antioxidant that helps your liver, but also its side effect is to act as a decongestant, which is just wonderful. So I took that for a long time until I figured out I was allergic to dairy and didn't need to take it anymore. So that's what listening to your body means. It's your body's smarter than anything you know. And if you just start to learn to respect your body and listen to it and do what's right for it, you will feel great, and you'll start to notice what's going on with you. Now, I just want to talk for a second about noise, because, when we live a high-speed life and we eat fast food and we eat microwave food, or we even eat, I used to eat in restaurants a lot. We eat in restaurants all the time. You're getting sort of lower quality, and there's a lot of noise. Your body's experiencing a lot of noise. And so you may not be able to tell, if something's helping you or not. So it's sometimes good to do sort of a paring down of all the noise and just simplify your diet for a little while and simplify everything that you're doing so that you can start to feel what your body's wanting you to do and what's going on. So now I'm going to take questions if you want. And so you can just type your questions into the sidebar here, and I'll be able to answer you and tell you whatever you want to know. So anybody have any questions? So one of the questions is, how can we find out if we don't have the methyl gene? So there's a lot of ways to test that. There are so many that, like, a lot of labs are now testing to see if you can methylate, because it's such a big deal in how people are doing. There's one of the less expensive ways to test is to do the 23andMe testing and then to plug it into another program where it'll tell you whether you have the methylation gene. And the next question is not to drink water from plastic bottle. What is my recommendation? Well, ideally you drink your water out of glass bottles. Plastic, especially thin plastic bottles, are made from BPAs. And that is, first of all, it's got a hormone interaction. So you can have more estrogen effect. And if you have issues with hormones, then you shouldn't drink out of plastic. But second of all, it's of course known to cause cancer and have problems. So my recommendation is to use either a glass bottle or a steel bottle. You know, those fancy steel bottles that they have around now that are sort of cold. They're cool. I like them. And then you're asking about Centrum Energy Multi. What is a better choice? And have I heard of the Country Life brand? I've seen the Country Life brand, but I can't remember what are the ingredients. So I would have to look. I think that some of those are pretty good. There's another brand called Now, NOW, and they have a lot of individual supplements. They're not terrible. The only thing they have added to them is magnesium stearate. But again, if you're going to take a bunch of vitamins, you don't want to have a ton of magnesium stearate. And Marie, the brand Metagenics is a high quality brand, except for the fact that they put a lot of their nutrients into pill form. And in order to get it into pill form, it needs more additives. So it needs tableting agents and it needs magnesium stearate. So I don't use Metagenics. I use a company called Metabolic Maintenance. They have a wonderful multivitamin. That's the one I showed you the label of. It has, what is it called? Metabolic Maintenance. And they have one called the Big One. It's a multi that I like a lot. And you're asking about Nutribiotic sodium ascorbate. Again, all of the ascorbic acid, when I did the research, it was manufactured in the US. So maybe it's changed since then, because it's been a number of years since I did the research. But if it's all made in China, then it's all ascorbic acid, and they're all pretty much the same. And the Nutribiotic, I don't know, again, what's added to it. It's not one of the products I carry or have researched. But you would just want to look at whatever else is added. So if it's not a lot of other stuff added, then it's probably okay. And so I just want to encourage you again to sign up for my top 20 supplements. And if you're one of the first 10 people to sign up, I'll give you a free 15-minute consultation to help you figure out which vitamins are good for you or which nutrients you might need. And so, does red palm oil have enough vitamin E? And then the question about doTERRA. So doTERRA supplements are interesting. I have seen their bottles, and I think they have stuff added to them, but they're usually, aren't they using essential oils in their supplements? So yeah. And I don't know how much red palm oil has of vitamin E. I think that red palm oil is a good supplement, though. And and it might be a good way to get vitamin E. I would have to research that. So actually, if you're interested, just send me an email and I'll look at it. I love Premier Research Lab supplements. I think they're great. I think they have the ugliest labels on earth, but they really have high quality supplements. So I like them. And they use a form of plastic that's supposed to not leach into the nutrients. So yeah, they're really good quality. Anymore. And so I'm going to sort of slowly close off. And you're asking about how long is N-acetylcysteine safe to take. N-acetylcysteine is an antioxidant. It's a really high, it's a very valuable antioxidant. So it's the precursor for glutathione, and glutathione is an essential nutrient for your liver. Your liver, every time you detoxify one molecule in your body, you're using one molecule of glutathione. So N-acetylcysteine is safe to take for years and years. I took that one supplement that I told you about. I took it for years. I still take it a lot of times. So the activated forms of B vitamins are like methylcobalamin, which is a methylated form of B12. And the methylated form of folic acid is methylated folic acid. And it usually says that on the label. If it just says folate, then it's not methylated. And if it just says, oh God, I forgot the word. There's another way of doing cobalamin that's not acetylcobalamin or something. There's another way of doing cobalamin that's not the activated kind. And I like Garden of Life. My Kind is organic. I can't remember if that was the label that I put up there on the screen before, but Garden of Life, My Kind is a really good quality supplement. It's something I carry in my office. And the one thing about it is that the dosing of organic vitamins is a lot lower than the dosing of sort of professional level supplements. So it depends on what your needs are, but I think it's a wonderful quality, and a lot of my patients like it a lot. So, and the raw code, as I've said, is also made by Garden of Life. And then thanks for the reminder about probiotics. So here's the thing about probiotics. So probiotics right now are the in thing, right? Everybody's talking about how your brain needs probiotics and your guts need probiotics. And my experience over the last 25 years of being in this practice with probiotics is that if you have digestive problems, or if you have an issue, well, if you have any kinds of issues with your gut and you take probiotics or you take the wrong probiotics, it's not necessarily good for you, especially if you have a condition called SIBO. If you have SIBO, and a lot of people have SIBO, which is small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, then you're going to have trouble with probiotics. So, and I'm a little bit more cautious about them than most people are. So I don't think it's necessarily that everybody should take probiotics, which is why I don't have them in my list of basics, because I'm kind of medicinal about who takes probiotics and why. And I think it's one of those things, like a few years ago, again, vitamin D was the hot thing, and now probiotics are the hot thing, and everybody and their uncle is making probiotics. I just would say that be careful if you're going to take them. So I think I've answered everybody's questions here. Okay, so I'm going to again invite you to join my top 20 supplements for healthy living, and wish you a wonderful, wonderful evening, and thank you so much. Oh, okay. I'll take one more question. Do you have any advice for a solution to seborrheic dermatitis? So any kind of skin conditions are often related to what's going on in your gut. So my advice is that you need to figure out what's going on in your gut so that you can heal the skin condition. But I think most skin conditions can be healed if you figure out what's going on in your gut. So it could be an infection, it could be leaky gut, it could be an imbalance in probiotics, or it could be severe food allergies. There's a lot of reasons. Thank you, everyone. All right. Good night.